The latest on the NBA trade front, rumors flying, and a few new players potentially hitting the market. I'm Trevor Lane. This is the Basketball Bulletin. Hope everybody had a fantastic Thanksgiving and are getting ready for a great weekend. Joining me as always is Donnie Freeman. Donnie, how you doing?
Doing pretty good, man. Better now that you're back. It's always fun to be on with you and get a video out, man. So I'm excited about this. Hopefully you had a good Thanksgiving as well.
Yeah, it definitely did. Now back and in studio and ready to roll here. We got to talk about the trade front. Before we do, quick reminder, we're trying to hit 40,000 subscribers before the calendar flips to 2026. So if you can do us a favor, help us out, hit that subscribe button. If you're not subscribed yet, just double check real quick. See if you're subscribed. If not, hit that button. All right. Let's get into it here. So Brett Siegel for Clutch Points had a number of things that he went over his piece today, but we want to highlight a few things that were pretty important here. Specifically now, Julius Randle potentially hitting the trade market. There's a growing sense that the Timberwolves will sell high on Julius Randle should the right star become available before February. However, the problem is Minnesota, they don't have any first-round picks that they can trade outright, which would be problematic with pursuing Morant or another star guard. Would you even do that? Like if you were the Wolves, would you trade Julius Randle plus, because you'd have to add salary, to get Ja Morant?
I mean, the plus matters a lot.
Sure.
I mean, no, probably not. Not in the short term. I can understand it being enticing in the long term, though. Man, that would be, by the way, that would be box office. Ant with Ja in the back. Oh my God, that'd be disgusting. But yeah, just for now, probably not. I think Randall's been so great for them this season that I wouldn't pull that trigger.
So Julius Randle making $30.8 million. I could see where he could be. He's certainly not a negative value contract. He could be an intriguing trade target for teams. But if the goal for Minnesota is to trade Randle and get better, that's where it's a bit of a challenge, because if you're going to find, you have to get somebody who is better, more valuable than Julius Randle if you're going to improve your team, unless you're just getting like two really good, solid players that, you know, by providing depth, you improve there. But I do think that Minnesota, without being able to attach a pick, then we got to start talking about, like, do you call it already on Rob Dillingham? Are you willing to put him into a deal? I would assume no, unless it's really a top tier player. So it gets tough. Like, I mean, we know they don't want to move on from Dante DiVincenzo, but that salary would work in a Ja Morant trade. DiVincenzo and Randle, that's probably too much to give.
That's why I said the plus mattered, right? Like,
yeah.
Early on, Rob, okay, he missed a lot of last season. He's not looked great, but sometimes point guards, they just take a little bit of time to really develop and get going. So I'm not personally ready to give up on him, but I can understand if you do it in the favor of getting Ja Morant. Again, that would be great. He's on Ant's timeline. I can understand it. DiVincenzo matters a lot to this team, and he was one of the main pieces that they targeted for a long-term version of this team as well. So I do wonder if they'd be interested in giving up that plus Randle. I think that just winds up being a good bit for a guy that, while some teams are saying, you know, they'll look at Morant historically as opposed to right now, I do still think that if you are a team dealing with them, can position it that way and say, hey, this guy's clearly upset. This guy's been terrible this season relative to expectation. Things like that, right? I think you could do that. Now, in terms of their side, do they want Randle? You know, do they want DiVincenzo? Yeah, I'm not really sure about that.
I mean, he could be the second coming of Zach Randolph, I guess, in Memphis. But yeah. I mean, look, Julius Randle, he's put up good numbers this year, 23.4 points per game right now, 7.5 rebounds, 5.7 assists, 1.2 steals per game, 50% from the field, shooting 35% from deep, shooting 175% from three. I just checked. Julius Randle shoots when he plays against the Lakers.
Yes. Do it.
Yep, that is a fact. So Julius Randle, he's a good player. He's very, very good, very talented, multi-time All-Star. This is a guy that could help a lot of teams. And for Minnesota, you could change your slotting on the team a little bit, in that if you remove Randle, okay, Naz Reid is now your starting 4, Rudy Gobert is your 5, bring in a high caliber 1, and then off you go. And so that's where you could look into, you know, there's a number of guards that are reportedly out there, LaMelo Ball, Trae Young, maybe, Ja Morant, all these guys are maybes, but Ja Morant, could you go after any of these types of players and then add them to Anthony Edwards and have a starting 5 that includes Trey, Ant, Nas, Gobert, and let's not forget Jaden McDaniels, who's reportedly not on the trade market at all. The Wolves will not consider trading him. That I think you could make your starting five a bit more well balanced. I think you could really balance out your roster if you're able to do something like that. But again, without that draft capital, the question becomes who is going to bite on star level guard for Julius Randle and, I mean, let's call it Mike Conley's expiring contract, maybe, something like that's where it gets tough.
Yeah, that's not, I don't know. Again, Randall's been great. Really quick, pull up his cleaning the glass. You're in for a good surprise with Randall. There's a number of guys out there on the market. I just don't know if teams would be willing to trade them for that package specifically. There's other guards in the market. You don't have to target a Morant specifically. I just don't know if teams would be interested in that package. And some of that's just because Randall's already about to turn 31. So that's something that I think they may be strongly considering too. So look at the on-off with him. In terms of like the points per possession, all that stuff. Look at the percentile.
100th percentile on offense? 86. Wow.
Yeah, he's killing it, man.
The Wolves are really, really killing it when Randall is off the floor or on the floor, versus off the floor.
Yeah, look at that. A 99th percentile and effective. He's great across the board.
Does that scream sell high? This isn't sustainable, or does that scream you're crazy to trade him?
That's the thing, right? That's the whole point is like, should you trade high, or sell high? A lot of teams don't really opt to do that. They just look at it and say, "Oh, this guy's playing great. He's a big part of what we're doing. Let's just keep him, add him as part of our core, somebody we're building around in our pursuit of a championship." Fine. If you're Minnesota, maybe that's something you do strongly consider for a team that is interested. Now, like I said, I don't know if you can get a star level guard back, but you may be able to get something else that would fit into this team. You can get another wing or something like that back that could be very useful for your team. But I don't think they have to trade Randall at all, right? If I were them, if they didn't do it when he was extension eligible and all that stuff after last season, then I don't really see a huge need for it right now.
So let's get it, because we've got a few other players we need to get into. Let's give a quick shout out to our presenting sponsor, and that's Sleeper. We'll be right back in 1 minute, and then we're going to get into a little bit more of this Randall situation and a few other players that are on the market. Ever hear the Sleeper app? Here's a little secret. It's more than just a platform for season-long fantasy leagues. This year, millions of users enjoyed playing fantasy sports on Sleeper, but the app offers so much more. Live stats, real-time updates, and visualizations on all stats. A news feed, this is so important for me. You can get lightning-fast updates on your favorite players and teams. A real-time chat to allow you to engage with other users about individual plays and performances during the NFL and NBA seasons. So download the #1 sports app today. Experience it for yourself. When you use promo code Bulletin, you get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. And by the way, they do have a phenomenal promo going on right now as well. Free $20 entry. Go check that out. No deposit required. $20 entry for free. Go check them out. Use the link in the description down below, and that promo code is Bulletin. All right, and once again, we do appreciate Sleeper. If you guys want to check out some of the picks that I made, obviously for tonight's games, we've got the big Lakers-Mavs matchup, and so I wound up taking the two guys that were traded for each other. I went with Luka, and I said both guys are going to go over their PRA. I went with Luka Doncic and Anthony Davis, the former returning first game against his old club. Donnie, I have a feeling AD is going to be just a little bit fired up to play against the Lakers in LA.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Why wouldn't he be? Team traded you. You got LeBron and Luka on the other side. Man, he's going to go hard today.
That's right. So I've got AD and Luka. If you guys want to get in on it, use the link in the description down below. Make sure you use that code Bulletin. Get your $100 match, your 100% match up to $100. That way they know that you came from us as well. We always appreciate it when you guys support the companies that help support us. Donnie, did you have anything else you want to add on Julius Randle before we move on to our next player here?
Nah, he's just wanted to say that he's been great for them. So they don't necessarily have to make a move. I know that they are kind of struggling. Last I checked, they were only winning against teams, like literally only winning against teams that were bad teams up to this point in the season. But if I've learned anything from the last couple of years, I don't really want to judge them on any of that stuff until we get deeper in the season, because they've been able to turn it on, right? So I'm not worried about them, and I think Randle is a big piece of what they're doing.
All right, let's go here. We've got the Bucks, Clippers, Heat, Blazers, and Grizzlies are teams to watch for DeMar DeRozan. So DeRozan is interesting and probably, well, not probably, definitely easier to trade for than Zach LaVine on the Sacramento Kings. We know the Kings are going to be a motivated seller on the market, but DeRozan and his contract are basically viewed as a one-year rental, and that's because he only has $10 million guaranteed next year, and he's at 25-ish million. If Zach LaVine were at 25-ish million, hell, 30 million, teams would be climbing over themselves to get Zach LaVine right now, but he's not. He's at like just about 48 million. And so that presents some problems. But DeMar DeRozan is at 25 million, only 10 million guaranteed for next year. So that limits your long-term risk there with him. He is obviously older than LaVine. But what do you think about those landing spots? For me, the one that jumps out, it's the Clippers. The Clippers need every old player in the NBA. They've already got Chris Paul, James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, all these other guys that, I mean, this team would have been, the Clippers would have been unstoppable if they had this team 7 years ago, but they don't. But so at this point, why stop now? If you're the Clippers, go all in, go get DeMar DeRozan, who is, I think he's 35. I'll double check, 36. Maybe 36.
Yeah.
But it feels like he's 52.
Yeah, I don't know if it was DeMar, but I did a solo video a few days ago, and it was something like this, where the Clippers were targeting a guy, and it might have been DeMar. And I was just like, yeah, why? Like, I understand potentially, like, if you're looking for a guy to help replace the loss of Bradley Beal and the loss of Norm Powell, right? Who's killing it in Miami, just they're killing it in general, right? Then maybe, I guess. But in theory, you don't need to be adding another mid-30s guy. You need to be trying to add a mid-20s guy that can be a flamethrower for you. Well, you know, something like that. Instead, you need to be going the opposite way. You don't need to be getting any older. You're already the oldest team in the league, probably one of the oldest teams ever, right? You don't need to be going that way, especially with the team struggling, in my opinion, anyway. Yeah. So that's where I think that they really stand out among this grouping here. I kind of would really like him in Portland. I think he could be pretty good there. And also Portland, they've kind of got this like dual timeline thing going on where they've got some of these older guys like Dame and Drew, where it's like they're clearly like biding their time until Dame is back to try to be a fun team next season. In fact, Dame had a comment recently where he said this is the team he's been waiting for. So I'm curious about that as well. This was a few days ago. So I could kind of see DeMar fitting into that. And they've got some defense around that could help. But, you know, I think that's mostly all I would really say. You know, the Bucks I thought about, but I was like, you know, the spacing's already kind of clunky. So,
well, and I think this season we're starting to see teams more so than in seasons past take advantage of the breathable air that exists in the mid-range, because every defense is geared to stop shots at the rim and stop threes for math reasons. But if you are really, really good at mid-range shots, that can be a value shot too. You just have to hit at a high enough percentage. And given how open these shots are, we are seeing Miami being one of them, seeing some teams shoot more from the mid-range. The Lakers being a team that have been really good from the mid-range as well. It's not so much that a mid-range shot is inherently a bad shot. We like to turn our noses up at that. But if you are shooting a certain percentage on mid-range shots, it's just as valuable as a shot at the rim. Now, you got to be shooting an extremely high percentage, but or just as valuable as a three. It's just a math equation. So
thankfully he can do that.
Exactly. That's the point, is that maybe this year DeMar DeRozan's value actually goes up a little bit because we're seeing mid-range shots not be quite as forbidden as they've been in the past. Memphis is one in this group that strikes me as a little bit strange.
Yeah.
But because I kind of think the Grizz need to just go young and go that direction. But if they decide, you know, we're not going to trade Ja, which there's some reporting on that the Grizz are right now just turning away trade talks for Ja Morant. And if that's where they're ultimately headed, and you add DeRozan to this group, does it make the Grizz more dangerous depending on what they give up? Sure, it definitely can. I just don't know that it helps them get any closer towards a long-term sustainable, you know, winning team in Memphis.
Yeah, and that's why I wouldn't do it personally.
What about the Bucks?
Yeah, like I was saying, they kind of stood out to me as a team. I thought because like he would be on their timeline. He's another one of those like veteran pieces that they've been trying to grab over the last handful of years to remain competitive. They could use more offensive firepower on the perimeter. The I just don't know if he fits in exactly fit wise, literally, but I mean, you could maybe get him in some 2-man actions out there, and he could be pretty good. Like I think DeMar's a guy you can put on any of these teams, and he could do his job effectively.
The Bucks too may be a extremely motivated buyer. I mean, they just took on the dead money from Damian Lillard, sitting on the books, over 20 million dead money on their books for the next 5 years. They signed Miles Turner. All of this to try to show Giannis, don't leave, don't ask out. You can win here. They're the 11th seed right now, and they've been awful in the games that Giannis has missed. Giannis is putting up MVP number. Like, if you were to script it for Giannis Antetokounmpo to, in a few months or perhaps next summer, say, nah, I don't think I can necessarily. I don't think I can win a championship with this team. This season has played out exactly like that, where they fall apart anytime he's not on the court. They don't look good. He puts up big numbers, and it's still not enough for them to be right there. So it's going to be frustrating. I mean, if you're the Bucks, you're already this far invested. You might as well see if adding a DeMar DeRozan to the mix changes something for you and gives you a shot to make a real run. Because otherwise, Donnie, I feel like right now we're on the path to see Giannis Antetokounmpo ask out next summer. Again, that's just my opinion, but the Bucks finished in the 11th seed. I can't imagine Giannis is going to be super thrilled.
Yeah, they've got this team that's like constructed around Giannis specifically, and some guys have stood out within that. Like Rollins, of course, has been great for the most part of the season, but a lot of it is just like spacing and 3-point shooters that are designed to play off of the creation of Giannis. And so when he's not out there, they don't have another star creator or anything like that that's really going to draw that attention. So it just doesn't work, right? They're on a 6-game streak. And so that means that Giannis will have a Herculean task in front of him. Thankfully, he's in the Eastern Conference, even though the East has been pretty good this year.
There's more below really 500 good teams making the playoffs in the West right now than the East. Go figure.
Yeah, right. So, like, I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be able to slide in effectively into that play-in range, maybe even a bit higher if they go on another streak the opposite way. But he's going to have a big task ahead of him. And then looking at this can't be encouraging that this team doesn't function well without him at all. Yeah. So if you get into a playoff series, he's obviously going to be on. He's not going to be able to play 48 minutes. So are they just going to get bludgeoned in those minutes he's off the court? He's going to have to be so unbelievably good in the minutes he is that I think that's problematic. And so I'm not hoping he asks out. Frankly, I hope he stays.
Yeah.
But I just think that I don't want to say the writing's on the wall, but I think we're absolutely trending that way.
Yeah, agreed. And again, my hope is that the Bucks figure things out and they ultimately stick around. And maybe DeRozan gives them a little bit extra firepower. Maybe the Sacramento Kings are still interested in Kyle Kuzma.
Maybe they pull a trade for Levine or something like that. That could be interesting.
It's another guy that they've reportedly have had interest in. Speaking of teams like the Kings that are in Northern California that could be looking to make moves. Jonathan Kuminga. We spent a lot of the summer talking about him potentially being on his way out of Golden State and frankly kind of hoping that the two sides would part ways already because they both seem to be better apart. He's had the strange injury thing going on. It's not clear when exactly he's coming back. He started off hot, since then has faded away and lost his starting job in Golden State. So now I think it's looking pretty clear that Jonathan Kuminga needs to be moved by the trade deadline, which is what the Warriors really signed his deal to do, was trade him. So the Pacers and the Pelicans, two teams that have interest in Jonathan Kuminga, both Herb Jones and Trey Murphy III are players the Warriors have great interest in, and they're the type of versatile wings the Dubs want in a deal involving Kuminga. Man, in fact, it's not even, I don't think, I would not give up Trey Murphy to get Jonathan Kuminga at this point. I would not make that move. Herb Jones, maybe a little closer, but he's such a good defensive player. I'd struggle with that too if I was the Pels, but I would get it. I would get the scoring prowess of Jonathan Kuminga, the upside, the ceiling, I think higher for a guy like Kuminga, so I could get it there. But if I'm the Pelicans, I wouldn't be trading Trey Murphy to turn him into Jonathan Kuminga.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not trading. Frankly, I'm not trading either of those guys straight up. Because you've got a guy with a very high offensive ceiling that can actually shoot the ball. Both of those players would be really good in Golden State, but I think Murphy would be excellent for Golden State.
Yeah.
And then you've got a very high level defensive wing that a lot of teams covet in Herb, and he's on still a great value deal. So I'm frankly not trading either of those guys. But I can understand why a team would be interested in Kuminga, just not so much the Pelicans, because what's the direction here? Like, what's the goal? You know, you've also got Zion. Like, what are we doing?
I wonder, do you pivot away from Zion at some point? What is that? I mean, the Pelicans just need talent. The Pelicans may need a new city. I don't know.
I don't get the point of this personally. This is just something I think it only really benefits Golden State, in my opinion.
Well, what do the Pelicans need?
They need some structure first.
they need structure.
That's what they need. They need some structure. And they need, I mean, they've got some nice pieces there. Like, I really like Queen. I know that it's kind of hard for him to live up to that trade, but he's been really good.
He's been good.
I really like Queen a lot. And I see the vision. It's just a hard pill to swallow, right? I see the vision. I do. They've got some other young guys that I do like, but I think they ultimately need to make a decision on Zion and some of these other guys, like, a Poole who they just traded for and stuff like that.
Queen has looked good. If it was like a future Pelicans pick, you know what I mean? Like that, or a lottery protected Pelicans pick,
that
something
could go number one for all we know.
Right. Exactly. If it was, hey, you move back 10 spots and you get our pick next year, top 10 protected.
Yeah.
Right. If that had gotten the deal done, okay, Pels, no problem. Right. It's the unprotected piece of it that's tough with that. And it's the better of the Pelicans pick or the Bucks pick. So even if the Pelicans start winning, if the Bucks continue to drop off, then you could get a good pick there. But Derek Queen has been good. I do think they need structure. What about the Pacers? A team that struggling big time this season. They have been hit by just a huge tidal wave of injuries. But next year, when they get Halliburton back, they want to have a team in place for him to play with. They lost Miles Turner. Would it make sense for them to take, I don't know, what if they're convinced that, what if they're not convinced they want to be the team to pay Ben Mathurin? Could you turn Ben Mathurin plus it would have to be other stuff too, into Jonathan Kuminga, and then when Halliburton gets back, it's Siakam, Kuminga, Nembhard, Nesmith, Hallie.
I mean, that could be pretty good.
Or would the Warriors the Warriors would probably ask for at least one of Nembhard or Nesmith?
Yeah, I was looking at Nesmith and I was like, ish, I know the Golden State Warriors are asking for one of those.
Yeah, they'd want him.
And Benedict plus Nesmith, that gets really close to Kuminga's salary, right? What is he, like 22 or is he 25?
I think he's 22 and change.
Yeah, it gets pretty close. It may work in the machine. I'm not sure. But I was looking at that. That's why I was gonna say, you said take Mathurin plus, and once again, the plus is doing a lot of carrying here, because what is that? Because I don't think they want to trade any of these top like 6 or 7 guys on this list here.
Right.
Maybe the odd man out could be Obi, but he's been really good. I struggle with the Pacers because they just made it to the finals. They're missing a generational playmaker, in my opinion, in Halliburton, and he's going to slot right back in here. Obviously, you don't want to gut the team. I believe they have their pick this summer, right? They're going to add another player.
Yep, they do. They have their pick. They have their pick that they traded with the Pelicans.
Oh, they got it back
right before Halliburton got hurt. They traded for their own pick back.
Oh,
by giving up the pick that the Pelicans used to move up. By trading their future pick to get
the Pelicans. The Pelicans just imploded in that. Like,
Derek Queen is really good, but the Pelicans could have what would be right now if the draft stayed chalk, 2 top 5 picks right now.
Oh my God, they imploded in such a short time span with the decision making. Oh my God. I forgot about that. It was huge because Halliburton winds up getting hurt. So I think, I don't know that they need to make that trade, but I will say that Kuminga with Siakam and Halliburton would be really, really good. That team seems like it would be a really enticing team. So I can understand that idea. I just don't know if they really need to shake the core too much with this team.
Yeah.
However, they did lose Turner, right? And maybe Maybe they're looking for more of a talent play after that. They've had some guys come in there like Huff and stuff like that, and maybe they're looking for more talent overall, and Kuminga could be that.
Bottom line, Kuminga will be yet another player. And this is why I think we're going to get a fairly active trade deadline. You've got so many guys. Anthony Davis, we didn't talk about. You look at
Trae Young.
Trae Young, Klay Thompson, LaMelo Ball, maybe. You've got now Julius Randle, add him into the mix. Now, Jonathan Kuminga, DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, right? There's a lot of players who are going to be available out there on the market. I think we're seeing a clear differentiation right now between the haves and the have-nots in the NBA. There's not a whole lot of teams that are kind of those middle ground teams. There's some teams that are the have-nots, but they just don't know it yet. But they will in the next few weeks. They're going to figure that out. But there's such a clear delineation right now that I think we're going to get a really robust market because there's going to be a pretty good amount of sellers, but also a good amount of buyers. So that's going to create a lot of activity.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I'm hopeful for that. I mean, we had a really active summer or trade market last season too. So hopefully that continues. And we've said this a few times. There's so many of these guys out there. What happens if they just decide to swap players and this and that and throw it all in? That could be something we see too. And that would be pretty funny.
I'll take your problem. You take my problem, and we'll see if the change of scenery helps.
It may work for some of these guys. Like I think for Kuminga, for example, I think that would really benefit him. John Morant, that may be the same thing too. So we'll see what happens.
All right, everybody. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe right here to the channel as well. Till next time, see ya and stay safe.